Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN. Today, we got another KvK drama betrayal vid for you, little news storyline, happening in SoS4-6017. Now, what has transpired is basically already over, but we're going to give you an overview. We're going to show you POVs and testimonials from the kingdoms, at least 5 out of 6 of them. And then I'm going to show you some screenshots as well from some of their Diplo conversations. And lastly, I'm going to give you my overall thoughts on just what do I think really boiled this down to. What were some of the opportunities and ways that we can improve upon what's happening here, right? Especially if you are a kingdom going into a KvK and you're trying to potentially avoid things like this happening. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us a because that's a lot. Thanks. So the overview here is that in this KvK group, it started off with KM, Noob, Rod versus iFap, ERA, BPT, or 43, 187, 75 versus 243, 186, and 250. From the final zone, we can, at the moment, there are 4 alliances here in the middle as such, and 2 that are on the edges. So you have iFap, who has 1 flag in territory. I think their Shell 2 Fap has 1. KM's already pushing through, and then 75 is fighting BP, and then there's also, I think, some BP remnants up here. Effectively, they're out. Okay, let's get into some testimonials now. Testimonials. Here, we're going to start with KM. Now, remember, when we read testimonials off, these are for management people, so it could be an R5 and or R4s, or vice versa. Again, anyone that has their name means they gave permission for their name to be provided. So KM management says that they saw ERA saw Kath from the iFap stream and showed off some of the R4 chats, which I guess spoke to. No, I, again, didn't get any screens from any of those R4 chats, and I didn't really actually even dive in to go and look from those because I felt like we had enough already. But they're referring, I believe, to Kath, who was live streaming at the time, and there were some R4 chats that were shown, and I guess that either sparked or maybe was the final straw potentially for ERA or factored in some capacity, regardless of how much. ERA saw them talking about end of season rewards and didn't like what they saw, so went to start their 24-hour war with that as their spark. Okay. Yami Poli from iFap had said ERA told their team early that they needed Amber for Dragon end of season rewards or the server would die. These are some screens we'll show you too as well in a bit. iFap was working on getting all 3 kingdoms to Dragon and rewards, just did not publicize yet as we're finalizing. During end of season rewards distribution talks, still fighting against opponents, not being able to choose starting zones. They felt that was a factor. Akikoko making demands he wouldn't fight 75 and wouldn't ally ERA, so there was only 3 options and none were really balanced. Right, 75 iFap new versus VPT ERA KM was one-sided. 75 new BPT versus iFap KM ERA extremely tough and leaves iFap bored between 2 allies. Or iFap BPT ERA versus KM 75 noob, which meant at least some players got fights in Zone 2 and Zone 3. ERA having to fight noob in Zone 2, fighting a losing battle. KM ignoring iFap in favor of double teaming BPT with 75, leaving us bored and BPT overwhelmed. Wicked assuming that he'd get nothing when he first proposed. We will wait until we won to decide rewards. And I believe that's Wicked from ERA if I have that right. Then tried to use unconventional methods like merit to power or a lottery to try and win the big prize. Some Shiat talking done in Realm Chat, which I addressed on Discord and a mail, I believe, to the iFap members. Then we get to the BPT POV. So they stated after the FZ fight concluded with the win, ERA asked to discuss end of season. BP suggested distribution of season performance, merits, etc. ERA suggested a lottery or a randomizer approach. Merit rankings for BP were BP, iFap, ERA in that order. ERA mentioned the crisis their server faced and how they should take Dragon. While still in discussions, ERA switched sides and started a 24-hour war. Betrayal is one of the game's strategies. Don't hate them, but will not ally with them again. Okay. ERA, oops, hang on, let me go down here so I can scroll. So again, I had reached out to, I believe Wicked is with ERA, but I had reached out to someone in ERA, did not hear back from them. Then we get to KD75 Rod, right? So this is Pervy Sage, shout out to Pervy. Said iFap displayed some arrogance during the season, so could see the betrayal as a possibility. Rod, KD75 did not take part in that negotiation. Rod, KD75 don't really approve the change of team, but cannot force ERA to not join and not fight against who they want. iFap reached out to KM Noob to switch and join their side after ERA betrayal. They said no. KD75 was not asked, but would have said no as well. Okay, let's go to the Noob POV from Akikoko. Said Noob fought in last zone day 1 and pulled back. iFap felt comfortable and didn't get any rewards to ERA. iFap cocky to everyone. Didn't want to fight entire KvK. ERA gave Noob some good fights the whole season. Noob told ERA they would fight iFap and do not need any rewards. Okay. This was from another Noob management member. Said iFap underestimated ERA efforts in winning the season and wanted to leave them without rewards. ERA couldn't take that insult and switch sides to take revenge. Okay. There's a lot here. All right, let's get to some screens. So first one here is from Cleveland. Says, unfortunately, given the events of the last 2 battles, we realize that we are going to need your help in Zone 3 after a while. Therefore, we admit that you were right and we're not able to secure Zone 3. You can complete the construction to the level 4 pass and take the first occupation rewards. We plan to fight in Zone 3, but after some time, 2 to 3 days, we will need your help. Hi, could you please let us know if that's okay with you? All good, we're coming. Perfect, thank you. Okay. So this screen really kind of just shows an extending of the olive branch, right? The fact that, hey, there seems to be some self-awareness that's present, which I think is nice because it doesn't just immediately go to kind of setting a tone of, oh no, we're good, we're strong enough, we don't really need any help, right? So it kind of shows you it's a little bit more than just a on paper alliance, I felt, or ally. Or I guess union is probably the better way. Next screen. We got Wicked from ERA. Says, we don't have much time. We need to negotiate now. Achievement rewards are basically divided into 1 dragon, 6 gear sentry, and the conquest reward, which is 1 hydra. We just wanted to hear from you first. Of course, we would like to have the last dragon, but not because of the reward, but because it's the keystone to our survival as a kingdom. It's really life and death question. Maybe iFap can take 6 gear sentry and we can decide with BPT. Now, this is a little interesting to me. And I say that because I am not aware myself of any situation where, and I think they're in 186, right? So we can pull this up real quick too as well. Where a server is going to die. And I want to be clear, I've never heard that before, where people are like, oh yeah, if I don't get a certain reward, our server is going to die. Now, maybe if your kingdom is strong enough and you've just been acquire the rewards and your team is saying, oh no, no more, we want the rewards now, it's our turn. Okay, maybe you can speak to the effect of maybe some people leaving or migrating out if you're not getting certain rewards, but you're still performing well. I could understand maybe more people leaving if you're not performing well, not getting any rewards, right? And then other times people will grind it out regardless. But if I look at 186, again, I don't see, sure, you could argue kind of mid-size, lower mid-size kingdom, and yeah, obviously their number 1 alliance isn't full. But as far as it dying, again, I don't know if I would necessarily go that far. Maybe there's some players in some of these other alliances that could fill in. Maybe they can get that up to like 130, 140, give or take. But this is not anything that I would say, oh yeah, well, this kingdom is dying. If anything, I would say it's still ripe and primed to even receive migration recruits as well, and or groups. So again, just wanted to kind of state that for what I felt was, at least to me, some of the general obvious. So again, that it just seems like a reach to me to say that, well, it's life and death if we don't get rewards. It just, that doesn't look to be true. Now, if there's more to it that we don't know, okay. But if I'm just looking at it at face value, yeah, that seems like a really big stretch. So now let's go to the next screen. So we have 3 iFap, 1 BP, 2 ERA, we have 6. And one more thing to consider is that the current season is very short. I wish this compensation issue had been discussed a long time ago, but it didn't get discussed because our union's victory was uncertain. I think the discussion started a little late. We just wanted to hear it from you first. Of course, we would like to have the Last Dragon, not because of the reward, but because it's the keystone to our survival as a kingdom. It's really life and death question. Maybe iFap can take 6, and we can decide with BP on Dragon. Now, the thing I want to point out is the wording here. Now, in this case, I want to point out 2 things. In this message, Wicked is typing in a different language, and it goes to English. In this message, Wicked is typing in English, and guess what? It goes to English. So I don't know if that's anything worth noting. Just wanted to point that out for my observations. Now, the part here is that where they say, we would like to have the Last Dragon. And at the same time, in the same sentence or same post, it's really life and death question. So, I guess it depends on how you look at that. One side of looking at it is, okay, well, if you're just saying we would like, it doesn't mean that you absolutely need. But maybe the tone of the message wanted to start off as we would like, right? And then also because it's life and death, right? But maybe didn't want to come off as like double aggressive in the post. Okay, maybe. Let's continue. I think both ERA, BP fought with dignity. We had the strongest opponent of the season and we won Zone 3. I didn't say you didn't. I say we arrived and smashed. This is absolutely false, however. They literally had a plan not to push your Zone 3. Why? Because of us, to starve us of fights. So you could see a little bit of kind of tearing in that armor, right? A little bit of some, I don't want to say hostility, but it's rampant a little bit. Guys, we gave it our best. You came in strong with full elixir and resources, exactly what we expected and counted on. Wasn't it you who said it's not about individual merits, but the final result? You can't always get good trades, but you can always give everything you've got. Guys, we just want to respect each other and share the rewards of the season fairly. Please do not belittle the advantages of ERA. I completely disagree. Of course, fair compensation is good. Also, everyone wants good compensation, so it is difficult to achieve that. It is usually customary to divide by season performance order. So now you're starting to see a little bit of change in what is being said. Right now it's, let's respect each other. Let's share the reward season fairly. Again, my view is if you're going to commit to something that drastic on it is life or death, you should not accept anything else. And if you do accept something else, it shouldn't be because you agreed to it. It should be because you were either outvoted or they didn't want to give you that, right? To something to that effect, where it's kind of more or less out of your control at that point. Because what now it looks like to me is we're getting a little bit of back and forth. Like, okay, did they just say that because they wanted to put a little bit of stock, a little extra stock in making a case for them to be able to get the best rewards? Did they maybe do it knowing that maybe they wouldn't even get the first or second best rewards, and they did that as a way to maybe just bump up themselves a little bit higher on the ladder? If it's like, okay, well, there's probably not a good chance of us getting the top ones, but we don't want the worst, so let's say this, maybe we'll meet in the middle. I mean, it's just, who knows? But my whole thing is just be consistent. Because if you're not consistent and you're flippant, then it starts to get a little iffy for me. Right, so, and then Kaiser talks about usually customary to divide by season performance order. And keep in mind, a lot of KvKs, when they're going about end of season distribution, they will look at things such as merits, sometimes kills, deads, heals. They'll look at who had opportunities to fight, who showed up, who didn't. They'll look at, merit gains per zone opening or during when the fights actually started. There's a number of things that you can look at, but to say that, merits are not something that you would usually see considered. I mean, again, unless we get glory points added back in, you could say what you want, but it is one of the metrics that you're probably going to see everyone use, at least in some capacity. Next screen. Fairness is giving the right reward for the amount of work. So you want to lose the rewards that you are guaranteed to receive in order to get 2 amber instead of 1, not the 2 ambers, the compendium. I'm up for 1 day long fight to decide rewards. I wonder what BP will say. Let's wait for the Kaiser. So I want to point out that at this point, and this is very important here, Kongu from iFap says, I'm up for a 1 day long fight to decide rewards. However, nothing is agreed at this point. This is just really a suggestion that was being thrown out, right? That's very important to understand because of what's going to happen, what you'll see in a little bit. Next, it's a fighting game. It would be fair. That's why I dislike your propositions. They are disingenuous. No, that's not fair. Do you want to fight 12B versus 9B? Yeah, I don't mind. We're fighting over the same rewards. Okay, we'll think about your proposal. So ERA says we'll think about the proposal. Now, keep in mind, it's not just ERA and iFap. And I haven't seen anything here that says, oh, yeah, we will 1v1 and no one else will fight us or help in any capacity. I haven't seen like anything specifically stated. So if the assumption here is that it's a 1v1, I haven't seen anything that would clarify that. Okay. No one will take the Elite Dragon. Exactly. Answer the question, what can ERA count on in Zone 4? I don't know, because if we do the other way, what can iFap count on in Zone 4? I mean, touche. I mean, just gotta listen. Sometimes when you're in diplomacy, flipping it around the other way is a diplomatic tactic, so that way people can kind of see how the shoe is on the other foot, as they say. All right, nothing. We dominate and can't get anything here. And I think up until this point, I'll just say the challenge is that no one in the screenshots that I've seen came to the table with numbers, with stats, with data, with what they saw play out, and more importantly, trying to come up with a system of calculating performance that everyone can agree to. I'm not talking about even just saying, oh, we want this, we want that. Sometimes you have to justify what you're saying. It can't always be as simple as, oh, well, we fought a lot, we did this and this in these zones, you guys did this and this in those zones, so this is the order we should get. Sometimes you need to come to the table with a little bit more than that. Next screen. Oh, it's no longer available. Sure, why not? I don't think you know much about this game. Who did what this season and why did we beat the dragon? You stole your R5 position and thought you could be good alone, got smashed by Noob. Meanwhile, we fight them when you sleep 20 hours a day and get better results. You won because BP and ERA fought all season and you came with the Elixir and Mana in Zone 4. Yeah, of course, but we didn't face Rod, who did the same. So now the chink in the armor is becoming a little bit bigger of a chink. Now we're getting a little bit more back and forth. It's kind of upgrading to attacks, maybe some insults, some personal mentions. Okay. BP would get first award. After that, since we dominated KM, iFap and BP could enter KM Zone 3 more easily with 5 passes. Also, the reason Rod is being pushed now is because iFap worked hard, but he didn't do it alone. As I said in the beginning, even if BP arrives late in Zone 4, we push them and shake their backs. That's why Rod was able to be pushed back, because of cooperation. Of course, in the long run, they might have been pushed back enough. Share the rewards and we'll go rest. We are too weak and not worthy of rewards. Okay. So, again, this seems to me that now Wicked is saying, okay, you guys can share the rewards. We're going to go rest up. We're too weak and not worthy of rewards. So either Wicked's saying we don't want any rewards, or we'll just take whatever's left. So, okay, interesting. But again, like, Kaiser came in with a little bit more context. So I still don't believe it's enough, however, at all. But it's at least something. Okay. And then you get the response from Wicked. Now we get Night Statue. When did our people sleep? I think someday you'll realize how much you were wrong. You underestimate the combat power of ERA. Congo, yeah, someday in the following seasons. I mean, it's just, I'll just say this. It doesn't look good from both sides. right? It's kind of degrading a little bit. And that's just not the way that leadership people should behave, and nor how they should conduct themselves. I have a pretty zero tolerance policy for that. And I just don't think that's the way that you should be acting if you were in that position. You are held to a higher standard. And regardless if people want to feel that way or not, the fact is that you are there as a leader and as a manager, as a supervisor, and you have a responsibility and accountability to the players that are in your alliance, and even more than that, in your kingdom. So we'll pass. We just want Compendium, so I'm giving away the Zone 3. I kept it for iFap guys. Do whatever you want. I'll tell Noob we won't come help if that's what you prefer. iFap receives 1 amber. BP gets 2 amber, and ERA gets the first capture. You guys didn't even offer us that, although the contribution was equal and only the randomizer was the right decision. Speak up. We don't need Zone 3. Okay. So this is interesting to me because now Wicked from ERA initially said, we don't want any rewards. We're going to go rest. Now it's, no, we do want rewards and we're going to do first capture. Unless that's not what they meant by specifically saying, we're going to go rest. You guys can share rewards. Part of me feels like it's just one of those things where it's going back and forth too much. That's my whole thing. Like, just remain consistent. Next, stop fighting, guys. Nothing good will come of continuing to fight. What's the point of fighting? Let's try our best to reach an agreement. I'll let Yami do the talking. We are the R5s of each federation. What would the R4s think if they saw this? I mean, probably what I think. Let's not fight. Just try to resolve things amicably. Try to keep your emotions out as much as possible. I mean, out of the 3 people here, I would say Kaiser's probably the most level-headed thus far. Just because I haven't seen anything super outlandish from Kaiser. I am calm. I just see injustice in our union. Next, and if there's one thing I personally wish for, it would be for you to help ERA, like iFap and BP, attach territory to the Dragon Zone. That's a given. Since nothing has been decided yet regarding compensation, I think it would be good to have an ERA flag as well for now. Yeah, I agree. And after 3 alliances attach territories there and a decision is made regarding compensation, after the first Dragon kill elite are finished, all alliances except the alliance that will take the Dragon must remove their territories attached to the Dragon Zone. I think this is a basic rule. And again, this is the part that Yami was talking about, having a conversation with Kaiser about, hey, let's try and get everyone there first, and then we can figure out rewards, right? But like, let's include everyone in the opportunity for that. So I just wanted to show that because I thought that was important. Wicker says, guys, I've already written that we're going to Zone 1. Sorry, we don't need any more awards. We farm mana. These are valid tiles for Dragon. Why are we building towards the Dragon? We have no interest in Zone 4. So now at this point, Wicked confirms very clearly that they're going to go to Zone 1. They don't care about rewards. They don't want anything. Okay? Things will start getting spicy. Oh, it's okay if not then. So ERA places a tower. Someone from iFap says, what's that for? Just want to ask. You still didn't answer my question. I'm just interested why you guys building that one. And then Wicked says, okay, they're building that one to go around. But then someone had pointed out, well, if they did, why not just build from the other way instead of going through territory when they could have built on the other pass that didn't have any flags or other territory in front of it? Why don't take faster way then? Makes no sense for me. My builder's got something wrong. Okay, maybe it's just coincidence. Wicked says, guys, we are starting a 24-hour war for the Dragon, just like you wanted. We accept your offer. Whoever scores the hospital first loses. I mean, listen, man. If I ever didn't see some kind of backstab that was just so clear, I'm not even saying this is a betrayal, but this just feels like a backstab to me. Leading up, now again, this is based on, I'm going off what has been shown to me. A lot of the screenshots that were part of me were in chronological order. And if there ends up being something out there that clarifies this and it doesn't look as bad as it does, okay, I'm happy to see that. However, with what I'm seeing now, respectfully, or maybe I should say disrespectfully, I mean, this is pretty ridiculous. It's no bueno. This is not a good look at all. Why do I say this? Because remember we said earlier, when they had mentioned the whole thing about the 24-hour. You don't just say, like, you don't wait however long, if this was a day in between or if it was hours in between, and then all of a sudden you're like, guys, okay, we're going to do this 24-hour with you. No. You set a time. You say, okay, we like that idea. What's a good day and time that we can do that? Let's set some ground rules, and let's also set some clear expectations on victory conditions, along with anything else that you might need to hammer out on the particulars. That wasn't done. I mean, it was like they're just it's like ERA's here, right? They're just walking by. They're walking by. It's like ERA's here, iFap's right here, iFap's here. They're like 3, 2, 1, go, and that's it. It's just like, what? I mean, it's just. I mean, that's just that's not good. That's not good decorum. That's not good professionalism. Okay. And again, I'm only speaking to the actions in that moment. I don't know Wicked. I don't know ERA. I'm not familiar. Again, I'm not speaking anything about I'm not speaking anything about the overall individual, the overall alliance of the kingdom. I'm talking about that particular action. That was effed up. Okay. BPT says, I really don't understand ERA. I'm very upset with your decision. You guys have the lowest merit out of our 3 teams. You guys were able to win because of the iFap team, but why are you betraying me by being greedy? Okay. Wicked says, how are you guys? It seems like the 24-hour war has turned into a 48-hour war. XD, yeah, I was going to say it's just past 24 hours. So, like, I mean, listen, dude, he's just rubbing it in at this point. Like, my man is just went to go get a pound of salt, a bag of salt, and he's just dumping it on your wound. And has the audacity, how I see it, to say XD. Like, are you so lacking of self-awareness that you don't see what you're doing? And I get it. Again, maybe there's just a translation error that maybe could be happening. But I would like to believe from a lot of the posts that I've seen, it's not like people are writing in very extravagant words and using, conjunctions and, words with apostrophes, etc. Right? Like at whatever it is, like very complicated English words where they might not get translated. That's what I'm really trying to say, to a different language. So, I mean, this is rough, man. Like that's how it looks. It looks bad. Next. As we agreed, they came in clutch earlier with some great towers. Does the ERA League have no intention of returning? Or will they end the season with a 4-2 structure? I'm asking because I'm curious. We will never betray a good ally. Felt like they left that up to be subjective for how they interpret it themselves without anyone else. Judge, jury, and executioner. You know what I mean? Like just say that. Okay. From BP ERA, I wonder if you guys were prepared for this situation to happen when you marched into the Dragon Zone in the first place. It makes you wonder. Okay, so these were some screenshots that I guess were shared from something with the whole like Cath stream. So it says Cath only gave ERA the excuse to blame us for the betrayal. ERA was making demands and was refused well before that screenshot was leaked. It's 100% diplomacy failed. I have a lot of screenshot and explanation why ERA betrayed us. Wicked told me it's because of our diplomacy R4, not from my streaming. My little screenshot of streaming is nothing than diplomacy chat between iFap and ERA. They're just using my stream to blame me. So I look at everything in conclusion now. And what do I think about the entire situation? Well, what I think is that, number one, there should have been a conversation, maybe could have, but I would argue should have been a conversation at least in the beginning of the KvK to talk about what types of reward distribution ideas that could be considered, just to get the conversation going. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to agree to one. You could, but at least propose some, and then your reasons why you're proposing it. And then have everyone say something. Either everyone proposes, or if you don't want to propose, you agree with a different proposal, right? Number two is that when it came to having, when it comes to having, or prior to getting the final zone, you should be having some reiterated discussions, right? Out of sight, out of mind. You want it to be insight in the mind. So bring it back up before final zone to continue off of where you left from. And or even better yet, and I've mentioned this before, give like zone summary updates, right? So when zone 2 concludes, give an update. Who fought who? Maybe a brief summary, like a 1-sentence line or something of how it went. And then what were the merit gains, right? Along with maybe if you want to factor in kills, deads, heals. But at least what were the merit gains along with those? Do the same thing for zone 3. Keep a record, right? A paper trail. So nobody can say this happened or that happened, right? Because if you're keeping records and everything's public, it's not as easy to do something like that. Okay. So then from there, when you get to the final, right before the final zone, then you restart discussions, restart having those conversations at that point and talk about, okay, well, this is how it looks and let's settle, right? Maybe at that point you're like, okay, look, everyone's proposed their idea. Let's settle now on a rewards distribution system that we are going to go off of, right? Now, some of you might say, well, maybe you should do it in the beginning compared to at the end, because if people have been performing better, they may favor a certain system at the end because the numbers are already locked in. So yeah, in that front, I can understand if you lean more heavily on wanting to do it in the beginning. I'm just simply giving some options on my observations. So you do that before the FZ. Then, once you get into the FZ, you do all your fighting. You make sure you've secured everything, so that way you can then go and start working on getting everyone the rewards they need. Because there's no point in saying, well, you're going to get this, you're going to get that, if you're not in a position to give all of those rewards out to everyone. And what's a great example of that we saw? Well, that was in the other KvK group that we covered, where they did a 4v2, and they ended up almost creating such a difficult task, nigh impossible task for them to achieve objectively, that it ended up factoring into a betrayal that happened there. And so then I would say my third or maybe fourth point here, when I look at everything, is honestly, the diplomacy conversation, I think, has to be heavily factored in, because the way that some of them went about talking to each other is just very unbecoming. It's just not something that you would expect of a leader, especially in R5 and or a diplomacy representative, to conduct themselves in that way. And that heavily factors in, because you have to know that the only approach you have is cool, calm, and collected, right? And rational and reasonable. Anything more than that or outside of that can only have deteriorating effects. And we've seen this happen in a number of KvKs now. And again, it's okay to admit that you are not the right person for that specific and particular job. That's okay. I can give you examples of when I was running jumper projects and running kingdoms in my projects, there were some tasks that I would give to other people. Sometimes it could be because I just didn't have enough time. Other times it was because, you know what, this person is more caught up on this. They're more up to date. They know more about the situation than I do. I'm going to trust them to handle it, and then we'll just communicate and provide updates, right, and check-ins. And that's okay. You don't have to do everything as an R5. You don't have to. And sometimes I want to point that out, because I wonder if some of you gravitate towards this a little bit more, where you understand where I'm coming from on that. Sometimes the R5 doesn't have to be the messiah. You don't have to try and do everything and stretch yourself incredibly thin. Delegate. Show some trust, show faith in other people to handle things. And I will say that, man, which probably leads into number 5, which is just self-awareness. Self-awareness is a biatch, mainly because it can be very difficult for people to have truly appropriate and proper self-awareness of themselves, and knowing what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, and kind of either taking that bow or kind of kneeing out, or taking that knee in certain situations where you don't have to be the point person or the POC for every single thing. So yeah, those are my final thoughts. Could this have been completely avoided? I believe that this was a controllable situation where the outcome that ended up happening could have been avoided if some of those things were taken and treated differently than how we ended up seeing them play out. If you're in this KvK, I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have more you'd like to provide? A story you'd like to share? Is there more to it than what we were able to cover? Let me know in the comments down below. That's it for us. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.